Man, today I'm super excited. A lot of you guys know Jason Gallagher. He's with the old man of the three. You guys know him from The Ringer, from anything fun you've seen on Twitter. Basically, Jason had a hand playing in it somehow. But we're talking about the Mavs offseason, Halleluka, and then just some random characters of the NBA summer. Coming up next on Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome to Locked On Mavs. This is one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris of Locked On Mavs and Mavs.com. You guys know the drill by now. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below on YouTube. And if you've seen or listened to, if you watch Jason and Isaac Lee perform Halleluka in person, leave a comment below. Or if you've listened to Halleluka, you got to leave a comment below. But Jason, he is the star of the Drew League. He is youth pastor Colton. He can sing and write songs. Pat Mahomes, great song. Pat, what's the name of that? Pat Mahomes, Take Me Home.
Yeah, whatever. Actually, people call it like 17 different things. So it's Pat Mahomes, it's Take Me Home, Pat Mahomes, it's Take Me Home, Patrick Mahomes. It's whatever you want it to be in your heart.
Whatever in your heart. He's the head of production at 352 Production Company. Old man in the three.
3-4-2.
3-4-2. See, I can't even get it right. 3-4-2 Production Company. The old man in the three. JJ Redick, Tommy Alter. What a great pod. What's your thought? Just right off the top, what's your thoughts on this like new media stuff?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I think it's really cool. I mean, I'm a big fan of like all types of media. I think JJ would be the first one to say that old media is a very necessary thing, and new media is just kind of like another component, as we advance as a human race, we need to advance in the way that we talk about our basketball. And I really, really like that the players have a chance to, voice what they think. We had Alex Caruso on last week, and just hearing him sort of talk about like Kevin Durant requesting a trade and everything like that. And obviously you're going to hear people say it sucks or it's great or whatever. But I like the fact that a player can hop on a microphone and just give a really nuanced take that isn't super emotional if he doesn't want it to be. And it's just like, this is my opinion. I've played in the league all of my adult life, and here is my opinion. And I think that's really cool. So that's my take. We're good. Just like old media, we're going to get a lot of flavors. We're going to get a lot of opinions within the new media. And I think it just adds to a great chorus of discourse around the basketball.
No, I absolutely love it. I feel like Vince Carter's had his own pod for a few years. Obviously, JJ's been doing his thing for a while. I feel like it got more limelight, through the playoffs and the finals, obviously with Draymond's. And I'm like, I love it. I love the fact that I can turn on after a Warriors game and hear Draymond unfiltered on what happened in the game, good and bad. And I'm like, man, I never understood I guess I understood it by some media, like, oh, they're going to come replace our jobs, type thing. I'm like, it's not a replacement. It's a supplement. I think it makes media better. And I just love it. And obviously what you guys do with, the old man, the three, and Caruso, and y'all had Perk on a while back. And I'm just going to put you on the spot right off the top. And you can't say Luka.
Okay.
Your favorite interview, old man and the three.
That's easy. It's Chris Paul.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For a number of reasons. But the big one being that, he and JJ have a really good relationship. They're very, very close, but they used to hate each other, like hate. And so there's a really rich history, and there's a lot of stories, and they know each other very, very well. And they're both kind of like basketball geniuses. And it's kind of the perfect formula for a podcast. Like, you know, one of my favorite podcasts is The Watch on The Ringer and with Chris Ryan and Andy Greenwald. And like, the only reason why I listen to that is because their chemistry. And that's a little bit of what Chris and JJ have. Like, they have like this deep chemistry where they don't even have to say anything. And so, yeah, and I probably was a little wooed because I think he's just a very nice guy. Like he was incredibly kind to me, sort of in a way that I was like, it was not what I expected, just based on how I watch him play basketball. So that was really cool. We've had him on twice now, and both times are incredible, and they're kind of evergreen. They get really deep and philosophical about the nature of winning and how much does that actually matter in someone's life. And I like when they get to that deeper, like that higher plane of basketball discourse. I love that. And so that's honestly like my favorite one. I kind of, without a doubt.
Yeah. All right. Who's the worst one?
I think I appeared once in an ad read, so I'm just going to count whatever episode that was.
Okay. Well, y'all look for the Gallagher episode. And all right. So this Mavs offseason, just the overarching bigger picture for you. What's your takeaway from it so far? Christian Wood trade, Hardy, trade on draft night, picking him. I feel like the fan base was hyped, like, oh, cool, like it's going.
Yeah.
And then we lose Brunson. Obviously, we signed JaVale. What's your thoughts on the offseason so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at like a B. I don't think it's a disaster to not re-sign Jalen Brunson for that amount of money. But at the same time, it's a loss, it's someone's got to be more acclimated. But I'm the older I've gotten, the more I've taken on the philosophy that I'm sure a lot of front offices, which is their fans, would take on, which is like, let's just wait and see. At the beginning of last season, I think if I told myself that the Mavericks would be in a position where it was like, if they lost Jalen Brunson, it would feel like a huge loss, I'd be like, what? And I think that there's a lot of candidates in that Mavs roster to sort of like supplement the missing sort of playmaking and offense that Brunson brings. And I think it's an opportunity to actually step up the team defense. It could be like a blessing in disguise. I love Brunson, and I'm one of those weirdos who tweeted like, I'll always cheer for him. And like half of Mavs Twitter was like, go to hell. But I mean that. I mean, like to not get an extension offer and to like, he just played, he was so professional. He's so tough. Obviously it worked out to his advantage, and I'm happy that like he, gets an opportunity. I mean, if you can win in New York, you're a legend. If you can win one playoff series in New York, you're a legend. And like that, I think I totally see why someone would do that. And he's a guy who won at every level. And so why wouldn't he have the confidence to lead a team? Like, it makes some sense. Everybody, you'll never know unless you try. And I'm sure that played a role in why I left too. So ultimately, I like the pieces that the Mavs brought in. Big fan of Hardy and big fan of Christian Wood. So yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic, when you talk, we've since the off season sort of began, had a few interviews with players, and the question would be like, hey, it's super early, but like, who do you like next year? And like both Draymond and Caruso were like Dallas, like off the bat. And it's just like a strong belief that Luka is that good. And, he will get better. And until he stops getting better year after year, you got to assume he's just going to get better. And now he needs to, hopefully reach a higher plane of basketball knowledge, like how to play with teammates, how to get them involved in a way that feels like they're involved in the offense and not just spot up shooting. And so yeah, I'm really, really, really optimistic. And, I like the coaching staff. I do. And a lot of the assistant coaches, I mean, like when I do these pods, like everyone's so high on the Mavs assistant coaches. Like it's crazy. And so I think that's cool. So yeah, I'm not by any means, I don't think we've taken a step back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
I
for
don't know
sure.
if they've done anything to get over a hump like, a Warriors team and, you know, all of the other teams that are going to be coming, like Denver, full strength, Clippers, full strength. You know, the Suns will exist,
Yeah.
and then obviously the Warriors. And so there's a lot of. It feels like there's going to be more competition, but I don't think that the Dallas Mavericks got any worse by any means.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they got better. I think that it's a very, very real possibility. They'll be looking at the roster, you know, at All-Star break, and we'll be looking at like the record and be like, dang, like that's a team that's like really got it together. So
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back talking Mavs. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And it remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcast news this season. It's the fastest and easiest way to check on in all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, so I don't know if you've seen today, Brunson had his intro presser with the Knicks, and him literally up on the stage saying, I thought I would spend my whole career in Dallas. I'm like, all right, just, this twist the knife a little bit more in me here and all of that. But, I love your optimism in that, a little bit ago, like, you don't think they took a step back. Where do you see them, like, in the West right now? Now, obviously they can make a move, anytime over the next few weeks.
yeah.
But in the West, do you see them as a play-in team? Do you see them still in the top 6, top 4? What do you think?
I have them in like kind of a tier 2,
Yeah.
like range in the West. You know, like sports are just so crazy, and that Suns Mavs series became a win or go home for both teams, and it very easily could have gone the other way if Phoenix had played like they had at any other point in the last several years in Phoenix against Dallas. So it's kind of an insane thing, and I think it would be a mistake, to assume that they're just this top tier. I think Caruso, when he was on, and JJ both were like, they're sleeper picks. Like that's what they call them. And you don't call tier 1 teams sleeper picks. I think between Golden State, this is controversial, but I think Phoenix still is sort of like an upper echelon, like probably still a favorite above Dallas, at least on paper with losing Brunson. And then obviously the Clippers, and I'm like really bullish on Denver. So yeah, I find them in the sort of middle. Like I could see them in the sort of Denver range. And what's interesting about these seasons, and it seems like injuries playing such a huge role in it. And so we'll see. I mean, I think that their range of possibility is kind of endless. I think that they have so much chemistry now. So, like a bunch of those dudes have so much chemistry now, and with full training camp, Dinwiddie, with Hardaway back, like there's a lot to look forward to. I'm not full blown like Hardaway's healthy, and that's like what did he say? That was wild.
Like a free agent.
Yeah, it was like a free agent signing. But it is an addition to something that we didn't have last year, and that's what's so funny about these NBA seasons, man. Is it's like, I think I tweeted this at one point, but it's like at the beginning of last season, if we tell you that like that Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to be gone, Kristaps Porzingis is going to be gone. Like I went to my parents' house a couple weeks ago, and they still had their magnet up, their season magnet, and it was like Luka in the middle, KP to the left, Tim Hardaway Jr. to the right, and it's like both those dudes were gone, and that team went to the Western Conference Finals. So it's like, I just like to say that out loud to Mavs fans that are super, super worried. And I still think that there's moves to make.
Yeah.
So I'm saying I'm very optimistic. How about that? Going on.
They got rid of the leadership council. So, and then, okay. if a Woj bomb dropped right now and said the Dallas Mavericks have traded for, which one of these players would bring the best tweet from you? Westbrook or Kyrie?
Oh my God. Probably Westbrook, because Kyrie I don't find funny. You know?
You're like it's past the point of funny anymore.
No, it's not funny, and I don't think I would have anything good to say. And I am a pretty notorious Westbrook defender. And so,
oh, I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, big time, big time. Allow me to go off on a little rant.
Oh,
I
please
believe
do.
that I don't understand NBA Twitter, but for some reason they have completely done a revisionist history on his career, and his career is awesome. Okay, and he has won with a lot of teams, and he has got teams to a lot of places. And when I take a lot of stock into what these players say, and it's not just that he's an amazing teammate. It's that when he was on those Oklahoma City Thunder teams that were going deep in the playoffs, that were making conference finals, that were making NBA finals, players on those teams were like, that's our leader. You know what I mean? Like, he was their emotional leader. And that matters. That you can't qualify that stat. And maybe that's why he's tried so hard to break every triple-double record in the world, because he is this emotional leader, and you cannot really quantify that. And so I love what Russ and, I'll read really, really smart people say things like he's never won at a high level, or he's never done this or that. And it's like, okay, I think that's like unfair. And especially those early Thunder teams, that were like kind of like they made the finals and then they were hit year after year with some sort of pretty significant injury that kind of killed their season, whether it was Russ or KD. And so, yeah, I'm a big Russ defender. And then
so you want him in Dallas?
No, relax. Relax.
This is going to be the title of the pod now. Why Russell Westbrook needs to be in Dallas with Jason Gallagher.
That's fine. I'll own it. But I'm just saying, like, he's dragged a lot of teams to playoffs. I understand what the Lakers had in mind when they traded for him. It obviously did not work out, but like every year prior, he had basically dragged teams that didn't have great rosters to the playoffs. And so he's durable. Like, that's kind of his biggest like strength, is that he's this tank and he never runs out of energy. And at the very least, if you want to rest your superstars, or if you have Anthony Davis, who's fragile as hell, then you can get like a really durable player who might be able to drag it. Obviously, it didn't work for LA. And, he seems to have issues with taking on lesser roles. But, I think he'll eventually do it. It reminds me a lot of Carmelo in a way, where it's like, Carmelo was really, 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 really resistant to taking on a role player role. And once he did, he became beloved. Like he was finding a lot of success. He couldn't sign with the team, which is sort of insane, like a few years ago. So all that to say is that Russ's personality, I like. Apparently he's an awesome locker room presence. Like, every teammate loves him except for Kevin Durant. Like, I would take that over friggin' guy who kind of leaves a trail behind him of regret. You know what I mean? And I don't like talking about guys like personalities per se, but it usually doesn't work out with Kyrie, like in a pretty significant way. So
you made a great case for Russ in Dallas.
All I'm saying, look, I'm not saying.
Do you think he would fit with Luka?
You gave me a rock and a hard place here, and all I'm saying is that I'm choosing a rock. All right, I'm choosing somebody who we know would show up to training camp and play the basketball games. How about that?
I'm gonna SEO the crap out of this title and be
I'll
like,
take it.
Russell Westbrook, Luka Doncic in Dallas? ? Coming up next with Jason Gallagher.
I love it.
All right, let's take one more quick break, and then we'll come back. And I got to ask about Halleluka and how that came to be.
Sure.
Okay, Halleluka. It became a worldwide sensation pretty quick. It resulted in you guys flying to Dallas and performing it I was at this game in the press box, just amazed at the arena, the cell phones up with the lights, live Halleluka. How did it come to be? I went back and reread the Athletic story. Also, obviously Tim wrote a story and you guys, and it was great. Just How did it come to be, and how quick was it that you and Isaac Lee, you were both at the Ringer at the time, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
And
correct.
this song came to be.
Yeah, you know, it's sort of funny. I don't think we had done a song before that, Isaac Lee and I. But we had that's not true. We had done something with a choir for NBA Desktop once before, and so he and we sort of became friends. And I had written this song. Well, I'd written it quick. Like it was one of those really weird things where every time I'm doing one of these parody songs, I always say if I can write it in like less than 10 minutes, that's how I know it's good. And that's what this was. It was like easy, 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 done, done, done. I sent it to, I actually had thought for 2 seconds if I should sing it. And then quickly realized the answer is no. Because when you have a voice like Isaac Lee's, it's great. So I hit him up. And I think we made it very, very quickly. And then I designed the graphic and did the video and then put the words on the screen and then just hit publish, kind of went about my day. And then somebody sent me a radio clip like within 4 hours. And like Steve Kerr had gone on the radio and been like, have you heard this Halleluka thing? And like, that was like the first time I was like, oh my gosh, people are like, what is happening? And then we noticed that had sort of blown up on the old Twitter and YouTube. And yeah, from there it was awesome. And then we very quickly came up with the band name, with a fake band name. It was Jason Concepcion who had named us. And then you know, Mike, what's his name? Machine.
Yeah, Mike Marshall. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Marshall reached out and said, I have a crazy idea for you, but would you guys consider performing it at the arena? And I was like, I know I would, but I'm not going to be the one performing it because I don't do anything musically on it. And so I had to talk Isaac Lee into it. And that was kind of a battle. He was very resistant at first. He was like, no, I don't want to, I'm not even a Mavericks fan, like whatever. And I was like, dude, come on. Like, this would be so fun, whatever. And so we get there and he's like hyperventilating. It's so funny. I eventually get him to talk him into it. So we go down and he is having a real hard time. And we do sound check. And I'm sure you read the article, but like, you know, we had to sound check while the opponent was on the floor. It was a lot of drama around that. And then I learned
your guy, Chris Paul, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And freaking what's his name? The guy who does the radio for the Mavs. Coop was pissed. Coop was yelling at us. Like he was just like coming at us, like turn it down, shut it off. And that's what I learned, that the in-arena entertainment people have a lot of friggin' power over games. And they were like, absolutely not. We got to do this now. And I'm like seeing this all happen. And Isaac Lee just has headphones and has his eyes closed. And he is like none the wiser. He's just singing his ass off. So it was very funny. And then right before, you know, I told Isaac, it's like, no big deal, man. Like I put on a wig, I fake played guitar. It was great. I had no idea how the arena would react. I thought for sure, like, I don't know. It's like, you've been to games, like some things like are just corny. And so I was like, is this going to be perceived as corny? I don't know. Let's see. But whenever, you know, I saw the phones and stuff like that, and then people were laughing at some of the lyrics, I was like, oh, okay, so this is good. At the same time, I was like, man, it must be so weird to be one of these players that isn't Luka on the floor. Like,
yeah,
even his teammates, I'm sure they were like, what is happening right now? Like, and so since then, so that had happened, and he was having a terrible game, like an awful, 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 awful game. And like something like 2 for like 15 or something crazy. And at halftime, Tim McMahon walked up to me and was like, you know, they're going to blame you for this. And I was like, and it was like a national TV game too. And I was like, oh, and so, and then he like kind of single-handedly brought Dallas back from like 15 down in the fourth, and they won the game. I mean, you were there. It was a crazy game.
Yeah.
And then afterwards we got to meet him, and he was like,
I was gonna say, how was that? What did he say to you?
He said, thank you for my song. And then that was it. And then, you know, since then, they still use the graphic in the games, and people still will send, like videos of their kids singing it, not knowing what Leonard Cohen's version, which is hysterical to me and a little insulting to the Cohen estate. But yeah, no, it was so fun, dude. I don't know, it was a blast. That night was very fun. And since then, I've talked to Mark Cuban a couple times, and he's just like, if we ever win, that's you guys coming back for the parade. And it's I don't know, it's one of those really fun, weird things. It's like I've been a fan of this team my whole life. I kind of did it as a bit, and it just turned into like a really fun thing. So
Well, it's wild because it's such a a classic song and such a
yeah,
big song, and now anytime I ever hear it on anything,
yeah,
I'm sure like a lot of listeners are like, "That's I think of Halleluka now," and
yeah,
it's like, all right,
yeah. It's pretty funny. It's like I don't know how like the internet works, but it's just like, it's just funny that like you can type in Halleluka in Google, and it's just like lyrics come up, and then it doesn't autocorrect to Hallelujah for me
yeah,
anymore. I just
yeah,
think that's like insane.
yeah,
So anyways, it's definitely been fun. It's like I said, it's just a weird, like fun fan thing,
yeah. In the story with Cato and the Athletic, he said that you texted Isaac Lee, I guess the night before. And you're like, "Hey, this is gonna like blow up," and this is like your prediction. I was like, "Oh, Nostradamus here." So to tie it into this current Mavs team, since your predictions come true, what's your big Mavs prediction for this off season? Any more
Okay.
moves?
Okay. One, my predictions do not come true. Okay.
That one
But
did. It
one,
blew up.
okay. So I have had things come true, but as a person who, part of his job is to attempt to make viral things, I can say it more than likely does not work out, and you just got to keep on trying. But in terms of predictions, yeah, I think a really I don't know, man. I don't like predictions. I'll say this. I think Luka wins MVP this year.
Ooh, that's good.
I know that's like lame, but I think that this is his year to do it, because I think people will be a little tempered from last year.
Yeah.
There was so much hype for him going into the season. I'm sure there will be again, but um, it's like last year he fell victim to an insane narrative, and I fought with so many people about it on Twitter. It was
Oh,
awesome. I love fighting with people on Twitter, but he fell victim to this narrative that he was just like so bad at the beginning of the season, and it's
well,
just
Bill
like
Simmons leading the charge on this one. I'm like, come on, like
I don't
this
work
is.
there anymore. I don't work there anymore.
I,
No, in all seriousness, I was like, it was just like it was crazy, because he was that it's just a story. Like the MVP is a story, and it is narrative driven. And I've talked about it with JJ. I've talked about it with all these ESPN people, and it's like, you know what? Once something like that happens, people just run with it. And so it matters that in the middle of the season, people were saying like, I'm going to list my MVP candidates. It's going to be Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, DeRozan, Steph, Booker, Tatum, Ja, maybe Luka. Like I would read like NBA.com stuff like in the middle of February, March, and he would be like 8th or 9th, which was
yeah,
such an overcorrection to how the year started. And it didn't make any sense, because he was like playing better than most of those guys, maybe outside of the top 3. You know what I mean? His win percentage when he was on the floor was outstanding. His scoring, his passing, his rebounding, all of it better than the rest. And it was just like didn't make sense. I was just like, this isn't even like close, in my
yeah,
opinion. So and so once that happens, you're just like out. And so this year, I think people will come in with more tempered expectations. There's actually more candidates this year heading into the year, I think, between Steph's resurgence, Booker's still really effective. Ja's obviously on the map. And then you have the top 3 from last year, the 3 big guys. Yeah, it's going to be in Kawhi, and like, it's going to be like really crowded. And so I think if Luke plays similar to last year, but maybe even a little better, I totally think he can win MVP.
Yeah, because I think people will naturally put Dallas kind of in that play-in range to where if he plays so well that he pulls them into that like top 4 or 5, it will be
Sure.
he'll have some crazy numbers and all that. But big characters of the offseason in the NBA, just as someone who just loves content, when you watch Brian Windhorst, the monologue, did you not just like enjoy every moment of it?
I did. I loved it so much, and I hated it because I was on vacation and I wanted to do so much more with it, and I couldn't. And in fact, I do have a photo that I made, and by the time I was like, so I was in the Smoky Mountains when this happened, and so I wasn't like had bad reception and all this stuff, and like a week had gone by, and I had this photo that I was like ready to tweet. It was him and True Detective or whatever, and I was like, too much time has passed. But I'll tell you this, Brian Windhorst, that was MVP shit. I don't know if I could say that, but that was MVP stuff. It was awesome because we are in the dredges of the season, just like, get me to the freaking training camp already. You know, like we're in that zone where I can feel it as a content creator. I can feel it when I watch like First Take and you know, when you publish videos on YouTube, people just like care a little less than normal. You know, we're talking about the Pistons. Like it's bad out there in these streets. And here comes this like freaking knight in shining armor, freaking Brian Windhorst just coming in like freaking True Detective and just like absolutely crushing it. And the delivery, I don't know, it was like
the delivery was
this is the part where I'm like literally like, what are the sports Emmys for if not for moments like that? I mean,
if the ESPYs don't recognize him, it's a failure. All of it.
Total failure. I don't know if I legitimately believe this. If the Emmys don't recognize him, then damn it, something's wrong with the world. It's so good. It's so good. And everybody else played it perfectly because they just didn't know what was happening. They were like, what am I supposed to say to any of this? It's just like, he's just like, so why? And they're like, I don't know, man. You're talking. You're the one talking. It's so cocky and good. And I just like, I wish someday I could have the hubris to take over the way that he took over. That was just like amazing.
What's the funniest moment you've had in a Old Man and the Three recording?
I'm trying to think of what I could say.
One that was actually on the podcast that people heard.
On the podcast. Okay. Well, one of my favorite moments that wasn't on the podcast was that JJ likes to fake ask first questions and basically ask people like the one thing that they would never want to answer, you know? And so the funniest one he ever did was with Jason Tatum. And I won't say what it said, but he asked it in a very sincere way. And Tatum's just such a mild-mannered, quiet guy. And his eyes just got so big, like, I could not answer that. And, like, it was...
He's like, so why do you hate Boston? Why do you want to leave Boston?
No, it wasn't quite that way. Your fans can guess what he said, but it was amazing. But actually on the podcast... That's a great question. I'm going to go back to my original answer because it's a clip that went really viral for us on TikTok and Snapchat and everything like that. And it was when Chris Paul started talking about Chris Paul and JJ talked about their history. It was so freaking funny because how bad they hate each other. And they're both like really intense guys and their hatred was so deep. So they would talk about like their very first game, like JJ punched him or Chris Paul like punched him in the nuts. JJ slapped him in the face. Like they're telling that story. And it's so good. But they have like 4 different stories and they tell them kind of back to back to back. And then Chris Paul tells the last story and he goes, I had, do you remember? He goes, do you remember when I came up to you in Orlando and you see JJ kind of put his head down like this? And Chris goes, I saw you like I had just won Rookie of the Year and you were sitting in a suit on the Magic bench. And so I just walked up to you and I said, it's a whole lot different than college, ain't it? And like, they both just started dying laughing. So I really love that moment. I honestly love Luka's interview so much because JJ played with him and they're like weirdly close for how little they play together. But JJ always said that Luka was hands down the most playful player he's ever played with. Like absolutely behaves like a kid in a playground. He always would say Luka at play. Like he always says that to me. And I once asked him, I was like, do you think Luka could screw around and win an NBA title? Because because that's his whole vibe. He's like, I actually think he could. And so anyways, JJ was like, they had asked Luka what his favorite shot, what his most meaningful shot was. Okay. And they kind of had listed all these examples. You've had all these game winners. You've had the one against the Clippers. You had that awesome, leaning forward shot against the Grizzlies, game winner. What's the most meaningful shot of your career? And he just sort of sits back and he's like thinking, and then he just goes, warm up. He says, warm up. There's one during warm up. And I threw the ball really, really high in the air and it bounced and then it went in and nobody got it on camera. And you see JJ just going you are a child. It was so funny. And he was just and he kind of looks at me and he's like, see, this is what I'm talking about. He doesn't think about basketball that way. He thinks about it in a very pure way. And so that was fun too.
Y'all had a moment the other day where y'all talking about Hito peeing on somebody. And I can't remember. I listened to it and I can't remember.
He wanted to pee on JJ.
Grant Hill wasn't Grant Hill. Yeah, Grant Hill was talking about it, but it wasn't Grant Hill.
No, Grant Hill was like, we were trying to haze you because we hated you so much. And then we tied you to a thing and Hito kept saying, let's pee on him. And Grant Hill was like, I basically held him back. And JJ had no idea. He was like, what? So that's pretty funny. And I'll share one more. Perkins had about 3 or 4 moments that were pretty freaking funny. He talked about his beef with Draymond and about how he's like, I'm 300 pounds and, I'm 300 pounds and I'm happy and I sleep, with thermostat at 65 with a fan blowing in my face. I'm not beefing with nobody. And then when he talked about how he wished LeBron had tore his ACL.
Oh my gosh.
Did you hear this one?
No, I haven't.
Oh, he was just
I admittedly am not the biggest Perk fan in the world.
Dude, the clip is unbelievable because he's like, so JJ loves him because he's just he's such a lovable guy when you meet him. And he's very, very a team player. And he will say the worst take ever if a producer's like, we need that to be counter to whatever somebody else thinks, and be like, all right, whatever. But he was talking about the playoff battles he's had with LeBron, and he was like, that he is the only player that I ever got on my knees and prayed would tear his ACL. And you see JJ look at a camera and he goes, you can't say that. And he goes, yeah, I can. And then he goes, we're going to have to cut this. And then Perk looks at the camera and he's like, no, don't cut this. This is real. And JJ goes, well, maybe a sprained ankle. And Perk is like, no, I had to make sure. And that's just really funny. I don't know. I mean, it's terrible. So cool. At the same time, it's I love the honesty. I can appreciate the honesty. And it's honestly, it's just a testament to LeBron. Somebody would get on their knees and pray that they break their ACL or tear the ACL. So
is there an upcoming interview that you could tease or no?
I'm not allowed to do that.
Oh, he can't tease it. You got to subscribe though. We can all subscribe.
You should because the next 6 weeks are going to be fire. That's all I got. It's going to be really good. And
I mean, really, anybody you bring on at this point is must listen. It's all right.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, he's just in such a good, place in terms of his relation to the rest of the league. His peers are very interesting. The players just above him are really interesting. The young guys look up to him. It's a perfect situation. So, and
Russ on.
I would love that. As an actual, I would love a Russ interview because I think he's genuinely one of the most, again, misunderstood players in the NBA. Yeah. And I hate that he has such I hate that he makes such bad decisions. I really, as a fan of his, and as somebody who's been like literally like at the ringer, there have been times where like me and like one other coworker are just like freaking defending him with all our might, and he really let us down last year.
Well, I'm gonna shoot you a message when the Mavs trade Tim Bertans and Dwight Powell for Russ. I'll shoot you a message for that. And
so, what's the proposal there?
I just joked. Tim Bertans and Dwight Powell.
I'm not saying no. I'm just sleeping on it. At the very least, I'm sleeping on it.
Okay, Jason, thank you so much. It's been a blast.
Yes.
Thank you for Halleluka, all the fun stuff on Twitter that you provide. And obviously, guys, follow him on Twitter. You see it on YouTube. I have it up on the screen. And most of you are probably already subscribed to the Old Man in the Three. But if you're not, subscribe to it on any platform. And you say you're on TikTok too.
We are on TikTok.
Oh,
yeah, I don't run that. But I started a TikTok and I do not understand it at all because I was like, and I'm not trying to sound like an old man. I'm just saying like I don't understand the variant it like ways that certain videos succeed and certain other ones don't. It's like this. It is just like a roller coaster ride. Whereas our YouTube, it's there's a steadiness to it. But like TikTok, it's like this video got 6 million views. This video got 120. And you're like, why? I don't get it. I hate you. So somebody else runs that now. But still subscribe to that because it is very good. And on the YouTube page this week, we are doing like a little like travel vlog. JJ and I did a little thing on the Thunder. And I think it's pretty good. It's pretty unique. So subscribe if only for that.
Hey, I love their offseason, their draft. So I'm gonna go watch that actually when we get off here.
Yeah, good. Well, it hasn't published yet.
Oh, okay.
And like tomorrow or the next day, or I guess for your audience today or the whatever. Yeah, you get it.
This week by the end of the week. All right, I appreciate it, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you.